Namaste, aloha. Welcome to the Nectar of Devotion class. My name is Janapati Das. Please accept my respects, everyone. I'd like to offer my obeisances unto Jagadguru Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Srila Prabhupada, my life and soul, and to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We will get into some more of the Nectar of Devotion, but first we will chant the names of Krishna, so please join along.
Namo Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Bodhikaruna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Krishnayate Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Vasudeva Bhakta Haribol Nitai Gaur Nitai Gaur Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Golakaruna Swarupaya Radhakrishna Prashtaite Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vas Hari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Okay, so continuing with chapter 1 of Nectar of Devotion, we had addressed a couple of previous sections in this chapter that have to do with happiness and Krishna consciousness, and Krishna consciousness is all auspicious. And we are continuing with rareness of pure devotional service. This chapter is entitled Characteristics of Pure Devotional Service. In the preliminary phase of spiritual life, there are different kinds of austerities, penances, and similar processes for attaining self-realization. We had just finished reading through the Bhagavad Gita, and the Bhagavad Gita lists many different kinds of paths and austerities and penances and every aspect of spiritual life and different ways to attain self-realization. However, if an executor of these processes is without any material desire, he still cannot achieve devotional service. And aspiring, so there was another point that we came up with, that these paths lead a certain way, or sometimes you may take a alternate route to, say, if you're flying to Tokyo from Honolulu, you may go on the way there and go to Seoul or go to Manila, Philippines, or whatever. But that will not take you directly to Tokyo. That's not a direct flight. That's, multiple flights. Sometimes you have to take those to get off the plane, wait a few hours, and get on another plane. But eventually you'll be on the track to go to Tokyo on the original flight that was going to Tokyo. Similarly, the path to Krishna is the Bhakti Yoga path. Eventually, as it says here, you could be an executor without any material. You could be liberated and have no material desire, and you are not at that point of Brahmabhuta phase. So you've reached nirvana, but you have not continued the process, which is what the problem with Buddhist thinking is, that the idea is that nirvana, or the idea of blowing out, which is what the word nirvana means, it's a meaning, a situation of reaching a point of completely detaching yourself from material desire, which is good. But from there, you still need to act. For Buddhists, it's like you've reached the sort of nothingness and the ceasing of attachment for material desire. But the problem is that the Buddhist doesn't believe in the self, whereas there is a jivatma, there is a living entity present eternally that is acting, that needs to act. And Krishna was telling Arjuna that you think you are going to be going to the forest to be a yogi and not act and not incur sin, where in fact, actually, by not doing my will, you are incurring sin, even if you are a yogi, because you will be acting nevertheless, never the same. So here they're saying that a person could be doing all the paths and they don't come to the conclusion. You have to come to the conclusion that the ultimate goal is Bhakti Yoga, is to come to know Krishna. And if you've done all these paths of penances and austerities and different processes of trying to attain self-realization, even if you know that you are not the body and not the mind, but you are not acting upon this, moving forward with that action. Okay, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind. What am I? And what is my purpose? That is the key. And aspiring by oneself, one alone, to achieve devotional service is not very hopeful, because Krishna does not agree to award devotional service to merely anyone. Krishna can easily offer a person material happiness or even liberation, but he does not agree very easily to award a person engagement in his devotional service. And this is like this is like the person that Krishna is greedy for our love. He wants all of us. He wants our complete devotion to him. As in a relationship, if you've got certain qualities or whatever, but you're not devoted to that person completely, they're not going to be that particularly interested in you. Devotional service can in fact be attained only through the mercy of a pure devotee. That is a key point. Just try to learn the truth. Bhagavad Gita 4:33. Just try to learn the truth. Or 4:34, sorry. Just try to learn the truth by approaching the spiritual master. Render humble service unto him, and he can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. So the key is a spiritual master. By the grace of God, one gets Guru, and by the grace of Guru, one gets God, as it said. Devotional service can in fact be attained only through the mercy of a pure devotee. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 19, verse 151, it is said, by the mercy of the spiritual master, who is a pure devotee, and by the mercy of Krishna, one can achieve the platform of devotional service. There is no other way. So there's this loving, the devotee of God is a pure lover of Krishna. Krishna loves the devotee, and the devotee loves Krishna. So you want to naturally introduce God, the person that it's like said that the only person who would know about the Father is the mother, who could teach their child about the Father if the Father was not there. The rarity of devotional service is also confirmed in the Tantra Shastra, where Lord Shiva says to Sati, my dear Sati, if one is a very fine philosopher, analyzing the different processes of knowledge, he can achieve liberation from the material entanglement. By a performance of the ritualistic sacrifices recommended in the Vedas, one can be elevated to the platform of pious activities and thereby enjoy the material comforts of life to the fullest extent. But all such endeavors can hardly offer anyone devotional service to the Lord, not even if one tries for it by such processes for many, many thousands of births. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, and this is very interesting because it reminds me of the story of the yogi and the cobbler and Narada Muni. Narada Muni, of course, had come across a yogi practicing great austerities who was still very puffed up about his achievements. Whereas the cobbler was a pure devotee of Krishna and was just pleased by serving Krishna. He wasn't feeling very accomplished. He was just a mere cobbler who was poor, didn't have really great knowledge, but he followed his spiritual master. He followed Krishna very dearly. And so Krishna was telling Narada Muni when he came that the cobbler would come back to him in his next birth, but the yogi would be coming back in 1,000 births or something like that. The yogi got so mad. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is also confirmed by Prahlad Maharaj that merely by personal efforts or by the instructions of higher authorities, one cannot attain to the stage of devotional service. One must become blessed by the dust of the lotus feet of a pure devotee. And Prahlad Maharaj's spiritual master, the pure devotee that instructed, was Narada Muni. But this was all done while Prahlad was in the womb, because Prahlad was only 5 years old at the time of this whole story of Lord Nrsingadev and Hiranyakashipu, his father. But when he was born, when his mother was pregnant with him, Narada Muni had protected when the demigods and the demons were in a great war and the demigods were trying to kill off all the demons of Hiranyakashipu, because Hiranyakashipu was meditating. That was the point where he was meditating on and trying to get a boon from Lord Brahma. And at that time, the demons were conquered by the demigods, and the demigods were going to kill the wife of Hiranyakashipu and his son in the womb. And Narada Muni stopped and said, no, this will be a great devotee of the Lord. So Narada Muni, by the mercy of Narada Muni, he took care of the wife of Hiranyakashipu and instructed him in spiritual science. But Narada Muni instructed the wife, but Prahlad Maharaj was in the womb and heard all that and became a pure devotee just by hearing the words of a pure devotee, his spiritual master. So this is what he's saying here. One must become blessed by the dust of the lotus feet of a pure devotee who is completely freed from the contamination of material desires. In the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th chapter, 18th verse, Narada also says to Yudhishthira, my dear king, it is Lord Krishna, known as Mukunda, who is the eternal protector of the Pandavas and the Yadus. He is also your spiritual master and instructor in every respect. He is the only worshipable God for you. He is very dear and affectionate, and he is the director of all your activities, both individual and familial. And what's more, he sometimes carries out your orders as if he were your messenger. My dear king, how fortunate you are, because for others all these favors given to you by the Supreme Lord would not even be dreamt of. The purport to this verse is that the Lord easily offers liberation, but he rarely agrees to offer a soul devotional service, because devotional service, the Lord himself becomes purchased by the devotee. The happiness of becoming one with the Supreme. Srila Rupa Goswami says that if the Brahmananda, or the happiness of becoming one with the Supreme, which is one of the forms, it is also a liberation of becoming one with the Supreme, is multiplied by 1 trillion-fold, and still it cannot be compared with an atomic fraction of the happiness derived from the ocean of devotional service. So we've talked about these 3 forms of happiness that was brought up in the last class. The happiness achieved from material desires and fulfilling material desires and material happiness. That happiness from becoming this, what they're talking about, becoming one with the Supreme, the Brahman, merging into the Brahman effulgence, and service to Krishna, which is the ultimate highest form. Here it is saying that even if you had you concentrated all the happiness from that, which is incredibly powerful and amazing, much greater than any happiness we get in this material world, water in a hoof print, said compared to an ocean, that if you multiply this by 1 trillion-fold, it's not even an atomic fraction. It's not even so minuscule compared to the happiness of the ocean of devotional service. In the Hari Bhakti Shuddhodaya, Prahlad Maharaj, while satisfying Lord Nrsingadev by his prayers, says, my dear Lord of the universe, I am feeling transcendental pleasure in your presence, and have become merged in the ocean of happiness. I now consider the happiness of Brahmananda to be no more than the water in the impression left by a cow's hoof in the earth compared to this ocean of bliss. There's that comparison. Similarly, it is confirmed in the Bhavavarta, the Deepika, Sridhara Swami's commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam. My dear Lord, some of the fortunate persons who are swimming in the ocean of your nectar of devotion, and who are relishing the nectar of the narration of your pastimes, certainly know ecstasies which immediately minimize the value of the happiness derived from religiousness, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. So that's Dharma, Atartha, this is right, Kama, and Moksha, not Moksha. What was the last one? Anyway, Mukti. So, such a transcendental devotee regards all kinds of happiness other than devotional service as no better than straw in the street. This idea of straw in the street, it comes up quite a bit, actually, because the idea of straw in the street in India, you go there's a lot of like dirt. They have these dirt roads, and there's straw that people put down to keep the roads from getting too muddy or whatnot. And so it's this really dirty. People spit, they urinate, they go to the bathroom on the ground. The cows the animals go to the bathroom on the ground. It's dirty, there's trash. So this idea of straw on the street is the most lowest and degraded. So when we say one should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige and ready to offer all respect to others. So one should chant the holy names of the Lord in a humble state of mind, feeling oneself to be lower than the straw on the street. So that's a pretty low place. But here, the value is talking about the value